in Chennai. I am a resident of Kerala and most importantly, a very proud Indian. Alistair, I would want to share screen. I have a small PPT that I can guide them through.
Sure.
And am I audible and visible in good quality? Can I move ahead?
Absolutely, ma'am. Yes.
All right. So I'm just going to share the PPT. Is this visible? Is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Let's move on, guys. Good morning, students. It's wonderful to see all of you here today, Sunday morning. We've taken out an hour to know something really important, to know a wonderful choice that you have ahead, to serve your country, to be a soldier, not just in uniform, but also as a regular person. Honor is not about having a uniform or a badge. Honor can be every day, in everything you do, at every age. But the armed forces give you a special chance to serve your nation. So that's the logos of the Indian Army, Indian Navy, and the Indian Air Force, the three major wings of the Indian Armed Forces. And what do these people do? What do the soldiers in uniform do? Is basically they secure your tomorrow by sacrificing their today. Yeah, that's the fundamental. That's the fundamental attitude of the soldiers, of the men and women in uniform. Okay. That's a little about me. That's who I am. I did my PG in physics from Kerala University. I was commissioned into the Indian Army Intelligence for the 5 years for the short service commission period. And I'm a mother of a 10-year-old. That's like, to me, the most important job that I do right now. I'm also founder of the HEAL Foundation. We deal with emotions, our everyday emotions, whether it is anger or sadness or happiness. We talk about it, we deal about it, we talk to children, we talk to parents, we talk to teachers, and that's what HEAL Foundation does. I love teaching, though from a soldier to a mother to right now I'm a teacher, and I love nature. Whatever time I get in a day, I would love to spend with nature the most. All right. I want a few hands up. I want this a little interactive. I want a few people to tell me what's the significance of this number.
My God.
Yeah, Alistair, if I can have few kids to tell me, to raise hands and tell me the significance of this number. Mute.
Okay. So who can tell me what's the significance of this number? 1990.
Anyone who knows.
Can I?
Yes, please. Can you give your name also, please?
My name is Bhuvana, and in 1992, the first batch of women in the Indian Army were commissioned.
Exactly. So it's like a milestone year, a milestone number wherein women till then so far weren't thought or perceived capable of wearing the uniform or serving the nation the way men do. In 1992, the government then take a major step of inducting the first batch of women into the army, training them, making rigorous training in the Officers Training Academy, and the first batch of women passed out as officers, capable officers of the Indian Army, and that was 1992. Yes, that's correct. There was another milestone announcement that just came a few weeks ago. Initially, the women officers who were inducted were given only short service commission, wherein you serve for 5 and then 5 and then 4, a total of 14 years of your life, but you weren't given permanent commission or the pension applicable to you. And there came a very milestone announcement a few weeks ago, wherein women officers were allowed permanent commission. Permanent commission is a big word, is a long-term strategy for the armed forces, for the women who choose to join the army. Yeah, that's another milestone announcement. Another interesting that came up a few weeks ago was these two wonderful officers who we did first of on warships. So slowly women perceived to be capable entering into the combat zone, not yet into the Indian Army, but yes, into the naval and the airspace. So Sub-Lieutenant Tyagi and Smriti Rithi Singh, they would be into warships now. And you see women on the airspace, women on land. There are women whom we call Veer Naris who have lost their husbands in war into the combat area, and they pick up the uniform. They tell themselves that this is not the time to sit and cry. Okay, they come into wearing the uniform, and the picture that you see on the right side is of a Veer Nari who has lost her husband in war, in terror combat, and she herself picks up the uniform. She's a Veer Nari. So women of all areas, of all the regions of the country coming in to wear the uniform. So what is the general impression that we get, can I have few adjectives? What do you think about the army? This is a picture that, generally defines. It's robust, it's very active, it's very agile, it's very strong, it's very raw. What few words can I get from you guys? What do you think? One word that comes to your mind when you think about the army.
Responsible.
Responsible, okay. Then?
Courage.
Powerful.
Courage, powerful, okay. What else?
Productive.
Hardworking.
Pardon?
Hardworking.
Hardworking. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, proud.
Pride, okay.
Sacrifice.
Sacrifices, innumerable sacrifices every day.
Responsible.
Patriotic, responsible. Yeah, so these are the words that come to mind. And army and the armed forces, all about these. A single person's irresponsibility, a single person's, denial of the work or of the dedication or the responsibility will cause a lot of lives every day. Especially we, I would say Chennai, a small place sitting in the bottom of the map. I feel so safe here because somewhere there on the borders, there are people who are manning us every single day. We don't know their names. We don't know their faces. They don't know us. But all they think is saving the people, the men, the women, the children, the elderly of their nation every single day. They don't have names. We don't know them. We don't know their caste. We don't know their color. We don't know their religion. All we know, they're soldiers of the Indian Army. They're the soldiers of the Indian Navy or the Indian Air Force, protecting us with responsibility, with dedication every single day. Not a minute in their life, not an hour in their life, they think, oh, I don't want to do my job. They cannot. They will not, because that will cause our lives. So a few pictures that bring out generally the images, generally the perspective that we have: robust, strong, ammunition, big weapons, and big inventory. This is what generally comes across when we think of the army or the navy or the air force. It's all about action. It's all about, it's a lot of adrenaline. It's a lot of power that comes across in pictures or people when you portray the armed forces in the newses. But what exactly? But being an officer of the Indian Army, as a woman who stepped into the Indian Army, I see army as a very different space. Give me one adjective for what you see. Just name this picture in a word. If someone can. Name this picture, guys, in one word. How do you describe this picture? The emotion behind it, the feeling that you get. Anyone? Yeah, Janvi.
I see this picture as someone who is
One
very
word. Give me one word. Give me one word. One word that comes to your mind when you see this picture.
very emotional.
Emotional. Okay. Can you further describe that emotion? So many emotions we have every day. Describe that emotion. One emotion. Anyone else? What do you feel? What emotion that this picture brings across to you? They show us the soldiers of the army.
So, someone said love.
Care.
Love, care, yeah, love, care, yep. Cool, yeah, that is it. So beyond the robustness, beyond the strength, beyond the power, beyond the inventory, beyond the fire that we perceive the armed forces to be, there's a lot of care, there's a lot of empathy, there's a lot of compassion that the armed forces have towards their nation, towards the country, towards the people. You see this? These are officers of the Indian Army carrying a very elderly person, rescuing them from a pilgrimage that they were stuck in. The army is not just at the borders. The army is called in everywhere, wherever the nation needs them, whether in floods, whether during the snow, when a child falls down a small bow well, or the army is called in. So empathy and compassion is foremost for every soldier that dons the uniform. And army is not just armies, and I would want to tell you all youngsters the wonders that army gives you as a quality of life, the kind of things that you get, that you experience when you get into the army. You can do. You can go into innumerable sports. You go to places not just to visit, not just a tourist, but you get posted to places like this. Can someone tell me which place is this? It's of immense relevance as on date. Anyone knows this place?
Ma'am, Ladakh. Probably Leh.
Yeah, it is Leh. It is the Pangong Tso Lake, exactly. It's like one of the most beautiful places that our country has. And right now, there's a huge standoff going there. And I keep wondering why beautiful places has to be, has to have so much problems. If you look at Srinagar and currently at Leh and all, you get posted to such wonderful places. You get to travel across the country wearing the uniform. You get to go expeditions, adventurous, whether you want to climb mountains, whether you want to go shooting, whether you want to enter the Olympics. The army gives you a lot of choices. It's not just about wearing the uniform and carrying a gun around. There's so much more adventure, there's so much more fun, and there is so much more life that you experience together, all together, holistically, when you enter the army. Anyone knows this woman in uniform? The blue beret means she's part of the UN. She made us very proud last month. Major Singh, she's part of the UN Corps right now, and she was allotted the best UN officer from India. The blue beret is you get a chance to work with the UN. And this is a mess. A mess is an army mess. All the Indian Army messes look like this, wonderfully lit up, in exceptional 5-star standards. You get to live in these messes every day when you're in the army. It's not about bunkers, it's not just about mountains and forests and all. You get to live this quality of life when you enter the army. That's another army headquarters. It's all green. Even in the most deserted place, you will see an army headquarters put up like this, all green. We're so close to nature. So now, seeing the army, what army can give us, what all we have. You guys are all, I think, 11th, 12th, wanting to get into the army, wanting to know how to get into the army. So these are the various ways. You have a UPSC, United Public Service Commission. So guys, you all are girls, right? So you don't have a +2 entry right now. We don't have a facility wherein you get into the army immediately after your 12th. You have to do your graduation, any graduation, or you have to complete your any engineering stream that you did. So that's the fundamental requirement for women to get into the army. There are different types of entries. The UPSC entry, you have to finish your graduation, your UG or your PG. You have to go through the CDS exam. It's the Combined Defense Service Exam. Someone has stopped my sharing. Yeah. And for the lady officers, for the women who enter the army, the only place where the training takes place is the Officers Training Academy in Chennai. You can get into the army in any of these 4 ways. These are the 4 routes that will take you into the army. But finally, you reach your destination is the Officers Training Academy. And in all of the 4 places, you have to take a 49-week training course. 49 weeks is close to around 6 months plus. This is because you guys will be into permanent commission. That means you will have to definitely serve a 10-year, you will have to definitely serve 10 years with army. After that, you will be asked for an option. Do you want to continue or do you want to leave? But 10 years, definitely you have to serve the army after your 49 weeks training. So UPSC, your eligibility, as I've written, definitely need a UG and PG. I think the minimum pass marks is 50%, 50% marks. You have to undergo the Combined Defense Service exam. And then please note the SSB, I'll come into the SSB in a few minutes, the Service Selection Board. Okay, we will speak in detail about the service selection board. You also have the NCC entry, kids, guys who are NCC cadets. If you have spent minimum 2 years in the senior division, and if you have a minimum B grade in your certificate exam, you can join the army. And you can skip the CDS there. For the NCC guys, you can skip the CDS there if you have a B grade or C grade certificate. For the technical entry, for the SSC's Short Service Commission, you can be any engineering discipline. You can apply if you're an engineer. Your age bracket is 20 to 27. Even if you're in the final year, you can apply. I'll tell you about the notifications later, but just understand this slide, guys. These are the 4 ways. There were kids who wanted to know how to get into the law branch, how to become a lawyer in the army. So the last one, it's called the JAG, Judge Advocate General Branch. That's the JAG branch. That's for lawyers. So if you are a lawyer, if you're pursuing an LLB, if you graduate with LLB with minimum 55% marks, you can apply for your CDS exam and SSB. That's the way lawyers can get into the army. So these are the 4 streams, the 4 routes to come into OTA. Yeah, anyone has any doubts on these? Please note those doubts down. We will discuss those in the end, in the Q&A, all right? The 4 routes. Okay. For women, especially, these are the standards that the army is looking for. These can be your height. So even if you're just 150 centimeters, you can definitely join the army. Don't let anyone tell you that you're short and you can't wear the uniform. Don't let anyone tell you that. Your minimum is 150. So if you are 150 centimeters of height, you can join the army. If you have put on a little weight, just cut down in the next 3 years. If you're really lean, just make sure you come up to those weight areas, okay? Plus or minus 1 or 2 kg is fine. If the army feels you're really eligible, you have the attitude, they might forego plus minus 1 or 2 kgs. But generally, this is the height and weight standards that the army is looking for. You'll get all of this information on a website called joinindianarmy.nic.in. So joinindianarmy.nic.in is like a one-stop stop for everything that you want to know. Yeah, so that's the height and weight standards we're looking at. This is a very interesting slide, you know. So when the pay scale, when you enter the army, you're commissioned as a lieutenant. Okay, it's written lieutenant, but we say lieutenant. You're commissioned as a lieutenant, you will have 2 stars on your shoulders, and your basic pay is 56K. You get the same 56K as a trainee in the as a cadet. You'll be given a stipend of around 56,000 when you're inside the academy, and that will be accumulated and given you as a lump sum when you come out, when you're commissioned as an officer. So you start as a lieutenant, you go to captain in 2 years, you become a major in 6 years, a lieutenant colonel in 13 years. Till a lieutenant colonel is automatic. You become a lieutenant colonel automatically till 13 years. After that, you have to give your exams. You have to prove your mettle. The army will test you to know whether you can become a colonel and beyond. Yeah. So these are like the pay scales and the levels that you go through. So where all are women allowed? Just see the slide. Right now, women are allowed only in 10 branches of the Indian Army. And there are limitations. That's because it's not just perceived, because I was a woman in the army and I know there are limitations to which women can actually get into these zones because of infrastructure, because of attitude of people, because of policies, a lot of things. But look, just read through the various branches of the Indian Army, and where it is written men only, women don't have entries. So infantry is the branch wherein you actually shoot and kill people on the foreground in a battlefield. So women are yet not allowed in combat. Artillery is the big guns, the Bofors and the big guns, you know, that throw up missiles to the border. Armored Corps, they are speaking about Armored Corps as the tanks, the heavy tanks that you will be trained in everything. All right, girls, you will be trained in everything. You will fire all the weapons in the academy. Okay, you will be able to ride tanks. You will have to ride tanks. You will fire all the possible guns and all the possible artillery that is there in the training. They will train you for everything, but possibly you won't be posted into these. Where all you will be posted, you will be into engineers, you will be into signals, you will be into intelligence, you will be into medical, you will be into law, you will be into air defense artillery. Okay, and these are really heavy metal areas wherein you work at par with men. When you wear a uniform, there's nothing called a man officer or a lady officer. You're just an officer, just a soldier. You do the same kind of effort, the same kind of work that a man besides you does. And there is no Rona Dhona there. There's no crying out there, I'm a woman, I can't do it, because you will be trained. The 49 weeks, you will be grilled, you will be trained, you will be made ready to be inducted into these branches. Yeah? So these are the branches that you would possibly go into. What is the SSB? The SSB is the biggest challenge, is the biggest hurdle, and is the one short step of getting into the army or the navy or the air force. All of you, whether it's the army, navy, or the air force, you have to go through the SSB, and I found it to be the best experience of my life, wherein SSB is kind of a mirror that shows you who actually you are. We go with a lot of perception about ourselves. I am this, I am that, I will be like this, I'll be like that. But SSB finally tells you who you are. So the Service Selection Board, after you clear your CDS, if you come into the merit list of the CDS will send you a notification that you can go for an SSB. It is a 5 to 6 day evaluation process wherein you stay in an SSB center for 5 to 6 days. And the army and they assess you on your capabilities, whether you are, they will first ask you, do you have it in you? That's the question they throw you. Do you have it in you? And they assess you whether you have that thing in you to get into the Indian Armed Forces. And who conduct the SSB? It's a panel of assessors. They are also Indian Army or naval officers, but they are a little specialists. They are psychologists and group task officers. What do they assess you for? I'll tell you. But the fundamental, the concept, the last line of this slide is they assess you on Manasa, Vacha, Karmana. It's a very core, if you look at a Hinduism concept. But SSB is based on this, Manasa, Vacha, Karmana. What you think, what you say, and what you do has to be the same. Right? When I'll give you a very simple example. When you are sitting in an ambush at night with 10 men, 10 of your soldiers alongside you in a very hostile territory, you cannot be thinking, that I'm going to be strong. And then you say to your soldiers, I'm feeling a little jittery. And then you shoot at someone else randomly. You cannot do that. Your thought that I'm going to be strong has to convert into your words to your men. Hey, you're going to be strong. And it has to come across as your karma, as your deed, that yes, if there is hostility, we will deal with it. So your manasa, your mind, your vacha, what you say, your karmana, your act, all has to be the same. Every time, constantly. And this is what the SSB actually is evaluating in the 5-6 So we can pretend to be strong. We can act as we are really nice people and positive. We can do that for maybe 1 hour. We can do that for 2 hours. But when you're assessed and evaluated over a period of 2-3 days, it is always your core strength. It's always your fundamental personality that comes out. And that is what SSB looks into. Right? So what exactly are they looking at? So these are the major qualities that actually SSB wants, that the Army wants. Army is not looking at a lot of intelligence. We don't want a lot of intelligence because you will be told what to do. But what you have to do is with a lot of compassion. First thing, that thing in green, compassion. You have always put others before yourself. In the Army, when you're a soldier, you cannot think about yourself. You will not. Once you're trained for that 49 weeks, you won't be thinking about yourself. You will always be thinking about others. But in SSB, they're looking at Do you even have a little compassion? Because if you even don't have a little compassion, they cannot build upon it. Are you loyal? Are you responsible? Can you take up a little bit of responsibility? Can you own up? You did a mistake, doesn't matter. We're all human beings. They'll give you a task. And if you just, something wrong went, are you blaming others? Are you blaming your team members? Or did you take responsibility on your shoulders? There's a big thing that SSB looks at. Courage. You will be given only 2 tools and a big task. Do you have the courage to make it to the final? With whatever you have, with the team spirit, with along your teammates. Can you reason? Can you organize? Leadership, a big quality. The biggest quality maybe what the SSB is looking at is leadership. If we give you 3 men as a group, can you organize yourself with that 3 men and go for the task that's given you? Can you lead? Can you inspire those 3 people? Can you motivate those 3 people alongside and carry out that mission? So just fix this thing in your mind. These are the basic things that SSB is looking at. SSB is not looking at what background you come from. SSB is not looking at who your father or mother is. SSB is not looking at whether you know to speak English or not. SSB is not looking at your religion, your caste, your height, your weight, your color. No. The Service Selection Board is only looking at your compassion, your leadership, your responsibility, your judgment under stress. You've been given a task, there's a lot of stress, nothing is going your way. What will you do? Will you just give up? Will you just give up that task? Will you give up on the men who have come with you? Or will you take an alternate decision? Will you have courage to do that? Will you assess the situation with your intellect? I'm not talking about intelligence. I'm not talking about the things that you know. I'm not talking about the gadgets that you know, the applications that you know, the codes that you know to write. No. I'm talking about human intellect, the way you connect with people on a certain scenario, the way you can communicate. You can always shout at your men that nothing is go right, but you can always tell your men, look, things are not going away. Let's make it happen because this is our task. So these are the fundamental things that SSB is looking at. Most of you may have this, most of you may not know that you have this because you have not intrigued yourself, you've not looked at yourself, not sat with yourself thinking, do I have loyalty? Am I responsible enough? Do I have the courage in me? You don't know yourself yet because you've not sat with yourself to analyze whether these things are within you. Because it's very important that you judge yourself first before putting yourself into a panel, right? Just quick interview. Kids, whoever wishes to know more, I think Alistair and Deekshita will be conducting, further, we will be going to weeks of intricate processing of every line that I'm saying now, but I just want to give you an overview of the process. The day 1, you will go in batches of maybe hundreds to the SSB process. I remember we were 238 girls who went to the SSB Bangalore Center. You will be given a lot of psychological tests in the sense you'll be given words, okay, 60 words, and you will be given 15 seconds to write a sentence on each word. So the word may be rose, the word may be father, the word may be flag, the word may be, dust. And you have to make a nice grammatically correct sentence in 15 seconds, and you cannot miss a word, there will be 16 words. And they are assessing your positivity. They're assessing the way you look at words, the way you look at things, because you may try to pretend the first 10 words very positively, very nicely, but when time is short, it's your core self that comes out. There will be group tests wherein you will be made to sit with a group of people, given a topic, and you will made to discuss things. Here, they're not looking at what you know. Here, they're looking at, how you respect the others in a group. How much chance are you giving the others to speak? And how you're coming across as a compassionate leader. Are you even a leader in that group? The first day is the screening. Out of the 238 kids that we were, actually 220 girls screened out. We were only 18 left for day 2, 3, 4, and 5. And out of the 18, only 5 of us came to the academy. So that is the level of screening that happens in the SSB. And on the day 5, the conference day, after all these group tests and physical tests and interview tests, 4 or 5 kids are announced. And even then, you go through a 3-day proper medical test, head to toe. And from there, you will be given your, you'll get a call letter to the academy. So SSB is the most crucial. And personally, I feel all children 18 plus should go through the SSB process to apply. Even if you don't want to join the Army or the Navy or the Air Force, just apply for the SSB process just to understand where we lack in our personality. What kind of attitude are we growing up with, and what kind of attitude should we be moving on with life? So just go process the SSB. Just go through the SSB once. It will tell you who you are not, who you should be. All right, these are like little things that I felt, that should guide you. The officer's intelligence test and the picture description test, like I told you, it's mostly positivity. So when I see a rose, or when a word rose comes in front of me, I just have 15 seconds, to write about it. So if I'm a really positive person, I would write like rose is red, or rose is beautiful, or it is fragrant. But you also have a scope to write, rose has thorns, it might hurt, because, it is a thorny thing. So in the officer's intelligence test and the picture perception test, they're looking at how positive can you be in a short span, in a really stressful situation. And that should be a course. So while you are 12, while you're perceiving doing your graduation now, you've got 3 years. If joining the Army, Navy, Air Force is really your agenda, next 3 years of your life, prepare yourself for leadership, for positivity, for looking at list. You may not have a lot of things in your life. Okay, everyone does not have everything, but look at what you have rather than zooming into what you don't. Yeah. So this I'll come to that in the next slide. But this thing, you will have these many things in the SSB. Group planning exercise. They'll bunch you into 5 or 6. They'll tell you this is your mission, and they'll give you a rope or a stick or a sack, and they just tell you go around, and you've got 20 minutes, do this thing. You're planning, organizing. You'll be given pictures, just a picture with 2 or 3 characters and some vague drawing. You've got to make a story out of it. So how do you perceive life? How do you perceive characters that are sketchy? Okay, are you judgmental? Okay, all these things come into picture into the SSB. Daily situations. There's a very important thing called PIQ, all about you. You have to write just about yourself. So about yourself, about your family, about your passions. How do you picture yourself is very important. But if you think about yourself as very, lame and sorry and, sad and all, it comes across immediately in that PIQ sheets. So you've got 3 years, guys, to prepare yourself to be positive, to be confident, to have clarity, to organize yourself, to plan, to be compassionate with people, because all this at the end, they will find out. It will come across in every test in the SSB. Now, to me personally, as a teacher, as a mother, as a founder of a foundation, these few lines are very important for me. And it's not just for the SSB. It will help you definitely for the SSB, but use it for your everyday life. Compassion. I want someone to tell me the difference between sympathy, empathy, and compassion. Can anyone just tell me the difference between these three words? Very important words. Must have words in our lives. What is sympathy? What is empathy? And what is compassion? Quickly. Someone. Vidya Shri, you want to say something? Vidya? Vidya, can you unmute?
You can unmute and answer. That's fine.
Vidya, do you know what is sympathy?
Or anyone
else? If someone knows.
Understanding others' problems and feelings.
Correct. Understanding others' problems and feelings. So what is empathy then?
Putting ourselves in their situation and then realizing.
That's empathy. And what is compassion?
Feeling for someone.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't hear you. What is compassion, guys? Come on.
Compassion is that we indulge ourselves in that so much that it is a necessity for us. we have that sense that we have to do it.
Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else?
Caring.
Caring. Okay. Okay. I'll give you a quick example. So there's something that I keep telling my son also. So maybe we have a maid at home, a lady who comes to do stuff for our household, okay, and an akka who comes to wash our vessels, to sweep and mop, okay. So sometimes if we look at her and we know, she comes from a poor income household, she also has a family, she has kids, but she's poor, okay, and we feel sad for her. Ayo pao, oh, poor thing. This is sympathy, okay. You feel sad, or you feel a little disturbed for the other person, for that akka. Oh, poor thing, she's poor. She doesn't have money. She doesn't have resources. She has to work so hard. This is called sympathy. You sympathize. What is empathy? You close your eyes and you put yourself in that akka's shoes, in that lady's shoes, and you think and you feel what she's feeling. Okay, you yourself feel all the hardships that she's going through. You empathize. So you are mindful before talking rude to her, because you empathize. You know what she's going through. She's got a lot of troubles at home. She's got children whom she cannot feed regularly or well, or whose school fees she's unable to bear, or she has issues with her husband. You empathize. You put yourself in her shoes. You close your eyes and you go through the feelings that she goes through, the emotions. That is empathy. You not just sympathize standing outside, you also undergo the feelings that the other person is going through. Empathy. And what is compassion? Compassion is when you take a step, you do something towards that empathy. You felt bad, you understood the emotions what that person is going through, and you do something for it. You maybe spent some money, you took out your savings and gave that akka, bought something for her or her children, or told some nice words to her, or bought some fruits for her or for children, or you told your mom, can we please pay that akka's child fees? This is compassion. Compassion is when you do something mindfully towards the empathy. And this is not just for SSB. Compassion cannot be pretended. You can pretend to be good today, tomorrow, for a day, for a weekend. You run a marathon, something. Compassion has to be every day. Mindfulness, not just towards your friends, mindfulness towards your parents, towards your elders, towards your teachers, towards every living thing, towards a small plant, towards a stray animal that you see. Compassion has to be taught to yourself. Compassion has to be mindful, wherein you just stop, you just pause and think before you say a rude word, before you just slap out a word, or you just bang a door on your mom's or dad's face. So all this is compassion. Compassion needn't be a big present to someone. It is a feeling, everyday feeling, wherein you're just mindful. Now, as 12th standard kids, as 17 and 18-year-olds, you might feel inadequate in a lot of ways. Maybe I'm short, I'm not tall, I'm not fair, I am fat, I am thin, my family doesn't have money. Never think about it. Just tell yourself always, I can. Let me try. There will be a lot of things in your life, Kana, that you may not have for a long time. Stop looking at those things. You have no control on who your parents are. You have no control on what others think about you. You have no control on the weather today morning. You have no control on who the teacher comes and teaches you, but you have absolute control on your health. You have absolute control on your attitude. You have absolute control on whom you choose as friends. You have absolute control on your mind, your thoughts, your deeds, your manasa, vaja, karmana. You can tell yourself that I can, I will try, I will do this. You can absolutely say it. Say it aloud. No matter the world around you says that you cannot do it, tell the world, I will try. And start doing it. Start practicing it. Just remove the I cannot, this cannot. Just cut that T out of there and tell yourself every day, I can, I will, let me try. Extend your respect. First, respect yourself for whatever you are, however you are, wherever you are. Okay, you are in a family that has less money, doesn't matter, things will change. You are short, doesn't matter. You're very tall and lean, doesn't matter. You have a big teeth, doesn't matter. Respect yourself, respect the way you are, respect your body, respect your mind, respect your emotions, is when you will get respect from others. And respect, extend that respect to everyone around you. Someone is elder, someone is younger, whether it is a dog, whether it is a plant, anyone, a tailor, a beggar, you can't do anything about it, but you can extend your respect. Don't shun people, don't look down upon people. All these things, will come into as ingraining into your personality, which is very important for SSB. Everyone, all of you, talk to yourself. Every night before you sleep, keep away your gadget. Put away your gadget. Talk to yourself.
Sorry about that, Captain Lakshmi.
Thank you. No issues. Thank you. A lot of kids. There's some happiness going around there. All of us have a lot of fears, and we even fear to think about it, to talk about it. It could be fear about something, could be fear about our future, it could be about something that has happened in the past, it could be about something that's going to happen tomorrow. But please, please, please write down your fears, write down your emotion, write down things that make you happy, so that you look at it and you understand there are so many less things that you don't have, so many more things that you actually have. Write down everything what you were grateful for today. You had someone who could talk to you, you had nice 3 meals, you had a nice home, you had friends, you could go out. Be grateful for whatever you had today, because there are so many kids who don't have a lot of things. So nurture an attitude of gratitude every day. What did I have today? Nice things. Always list down that every day. Listen mindfully and talk mindfully. When someone is talking to you, whether it is your mother, your father, your teacher, your mentor, your friend, listen. All you have to do is listen. And listening mindfully is giving your full attention at that moment to that person. Very important, because when you're talking to someone, don't you feel that, when they don't listen to you, get really irritated? Yeah. So that is called mindful listening. When someone is talking to you, you first nurture it in yourself. Second thing, talk mindfully. It takes just a second, to bring out a rude word or a bad word or give out a wrong gesture. It just takes 1 second, and there's no point feeling bad about it or guilty about it later, and there's no point going around saying, sorry, I didn't mean it. You just have to be mindful for that moment. Just pause. You're angry. It's okay. Anger is a very fundamental emotion. It's okay to be angry. But what do you do in that anger is very important. When you hit someone or you break something or break someone's heart, that crumble in the paper will not go away. Right? All you have to do is be a little mindful when you talk, and be really mindful when you're listening. An attitude of gratitude, even for the minutest reason. Someone, even a smile from someone, try to say a thank you. You have something, you got your someone shared a small chocolate, say thank you. There are so many children who don't have a lot of things that you have today. Always, always, always have an attitude of gratitude. And you guys, I know that it is locked down. I know that you guys can't go out to play. I know you're missing your school, and I know you're missing your play. But you have a phone, you have a little space at home. Exercise. Your body should be as agile and as fit. Your mind should be equally agile and fit. You should do some yoga or running or gymming, and you don't have to go out to a park or out to a gym to do all these things. Even if you have a 6 feet space, make use of it. Do your stretches, do your running, run around, do anything that you can, creatively do, but be fit every day. You guys, it's very important. It's not just that, boys need to be fit and macho. Girls need to be equally fit, especially in this context wherein you guys are preparing yourself to join the armed forces. When your body is fit, automatically your mind will start getting positive. Your mind will throw away all the negativity and dirt. Your body, the mind actually stays with the body. So if you keep your body fit and nice and positive, your mind will automatically do the things that we've listed above. The last things, I know it is not possible right now wherein you can travel, but whenever you get a chance, go and travel to your native places, to small villages, to some water bodies somewhere. Traveling keeps you nice. Traveling, helps to see the other's perspective, other people, small villages, their plights, gives you an attitude of gratitude of what you have in life. So try and travel whenever you can, and try and do all these things every day. It has to be mindful. It has to be every day. But these are the most important things. Whether or not you join the army, whether you join a corporate, whether you become an engineer or a doctor or a soldier, these things are must in life. All right. These are a few links that I've listed. Alistair and Dikshit can note down these, and you guys can,
Sure.
share it. I can also share this PPT with you.
A screenshot. Sure.
Yeah. We have 15 minutes for Q&A. I'm glad. Yes, Q&A, please. Thank you, everyone, for the patient and mindful listening.
Thank you so much. I think we can move to the questions. Students, over to you all. We have 15 minutes.
Hi, this is Varnika. I want to know what happens in the 49-week training session. And do they teach us about engineering or any technical education?
Yes, I want to share a screen again, Alistair. Yeah, can you guys share a screen? Can you guys see the screen?
Yes, Captain Lakshmi. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
May I know who asked the question? Can I get the name, please?
Varnika.
Yes, this was Varnika.
Yeah, hi, Varnika. So what happens in the 49 weeks is they train you physically, mentally, and emotionally to become a soldier. And what kind of training? The training is a physical training. You have your physical exercises, you have your drill, you have your PT, you have your weapon training, you have your horse ridings, and you have your technical. In the you will have military law. You will read all the. You will have your what do you say? Academics as well, military academics as well. Logistics. You will have military logistics. You will have military administration. You will have military human resources. You will have military law. All these as textbooks, academic training, along with your physical training, your drill, your computer education, and weapon training. You will have your route marches, and not to mention the entire 49 weeks will be very, very, very severe and intense, wherein you might get just maybe 2 to 3 hours a day to sleep or a night to sleep. And there may not be a differentiation between a day and a night, wherein maybe at the middle of the night you will be like this call, wake up and go on a route march for 2 or 3 kilometers, just wear something, whatever you get. And it is going to be very intense, physically very intense. And amidst the physical intense program is where you have to study as well, the academic part, and you have to clear. And not everyone who goes through the 49 weeks of training comes out as an officer, because you need to have a minimum pass percentage for all the physical standards, all the academic things that they teach you, and only otherwise you get relegated. And yes, swimming guys is a big part of the academy. There are people who get relegated. Relegation means you don't pass out with that course, you do the training again for 6 months. So swimming is a big part. You have to cross your swimming exams. Yes, so that's what they do for 49 weeks.
I have another question. How do you get into the raw or the intelligence wing?
Directly, there is if you have to go directly from to the raw, I think you will have notifications to the UPSC after do your graduation, post graduation. But if you want to go through the army, you can do your short service commission with the army, and then you can sidestep into the raw and the IB as an officer. And you are most likely to get into the raw and in the IB if you are an army intelligence officer. Like I was an MI officer, my chances of getting into the raw and the IB are much more than if you are in any other section or any other corps. You can sidestep after 10 years. They will call for notifications. The raw and the IB, they call for notifications, and you have to apply. On the screen, guys, there is this website. Thank you. All the best. joinindianarmy.nic.in. This is the website wherein you get every single detail of how to go about, where to go about. Here you would see the officer selection, entry scheme women. And if you see, you have the graduate UPSC, graduate non-UPSC, graduate tech entries. Everything that you need to know. And on the right side, you get the notifications. So the notifications that the UPSC sends, how to apply, when to apply, who to apply, what is your criteria, everything you get to know on this website. For guys or girls, you guys can apply only after your graduation. So prepare yourself, check your age criteria, check your, see on the right side, left side, you have types of commission, medical procedure, everything you have.
Ma'am, I had a question.
Yes.
Ma'am, I wanted to know more about Army Medical Corps.
Army Medical Corps, yeah. I think it's there in this as well. You can do the way you do your medical MBBS outside. You can do it in AFMC, the Armed Forces Medical College. Go to the Armed Forces Medical College website, check your criteria. It is in Pune, the Armed Forces, AFMC is in Pune. Currently, the lady officer with the highest rank in the Indian Army, that is Lieutenant General, she is from AFMC. So the candidates applying to AFMC must be an Indian national, 17 years of age. 12th, you must have segregated at least 60% marks in your 12th, and that's how. So please go to the Armed Forces Medical College website, and you will have, check your eligibility there. You will have an entrance exam, and you will do your MBBS there. And you wear a uniform along with an officer, along with doing your MBBS there. You will be posted anywhere across the country as a doctor with the units that are deployed there. It could be field, it could be peace. So you will be doing, you will be working as a soldier, as a doctor, with the same intensity that a soldier will be there. And especially during, CT, counter-terrorism attacks and all, your role as a doctor or as a nurse is very important there, because you're doing two things. You're being a soldier as well, and you being a doctor or nurse as well. So please go to afmc.nic.in, and please go through the admission and the process, eligibility process there, and look at the notifications.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, afmc.nic.in. It's a beautiful place. It's in Pune.
Ma'am,
Yes, Janvi.
is there any limitation to if you have anemia, or if you have the armed forces, then can you join the armed forces?
See, anemia, I don't think anemia is a long-term condition. If someone knows their anemia, and what is anemia? Anemia is basically that, your blood is short of some nutrition, right? And
Right.
correct. So if you're anemic, if you know you're anemic, and if you know that you want to join the armed forces, and definitely physical standards, even after you crack the SSB, the medical test there looks into all of these aspects. So if you are anemic, all you have to do is keep yourself healthy, eat healthy, right? And I don't suggest medications for anemia, because there are a lot of natural foods that you can take. You can change your lifestyle and your eating habits, and you can actually step out of anemia. And Janvi, if you're really looking at joining the army, you've got 3 years to settle down into a nice routine and lifestyle with good food, homemade food, and a lot of fruits and vegetables and greens. Include all that into your lifestyle, and I'm sure anemia is going to run away. But yes, it is a criteria. You cannot be anemic. A soldier cannot be weak. A soldier has to be strong. So don't be anemic. Eat well. Keep strong.
Okay.
Ma'am, I wanted to know more about the JAG entry, like how it would be if you're a JAG officer.
So I think you have to be a minimum LLB with 50% of aggregated marks. So if you go non-UPSC, graduate non-UPSC, do you see the SSCW JAG there on the page?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So the age criteria is 21 to 27. Minimum qualification is LLB with 55 marks. You should be eligible for the Bar Council with any state. I think any state is okay. Unmarried, and you'll get a notification. Your SSP dates are December and June. Same thing. You have to keep in tag of the UPSC notifications. You either download the app or you look into those newspapers that come there, the employment newspaper notifications, or you come to this website to see. So this is a basic LLB with 55 percentage marks, and you have to be registered with the Bar Council, the State Bar Council. That's the eligibility.
Thank you.
And of course, SSB. Of course, you have to crack SSB.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yep.
Janani has a question. What inspired you?
What inspired me? Yeah. So when I was doing my PG in physics, second last sem, it suddenly strikes, ab kya, what now? So graduation, maybe it happens, so last year of graduation, you don't know what to do. And then I thought I'll do PG. And when I look around, I see that, most of my PG peer is either looking to get married because their parents are planning that. They want to do more studies. After doing your PG in physics, you get into research and fellowship and MPhil and all. Or they want to become teachers. Now, I am a teacher right now, but at that point of stage, I didn't want to be a teacher. And I didn't want to do anything that generally people are doing around. So that was one thing in my mind that, I want to do something different, which alag karna hai. And there was this cousin of mine, he went for SSB 7 times. Okay. He's right now in a big post, he's a DG, he's a commandant in the CRPF, but his mind aches for the army uniform. He so much wanted to join the army. He used to come back after every SSB very dejected, and he used to explain to me, and he told me, tere se nahi hoga, tu try bhi mat karna, don't try, you cannot do it. And that kind of, how can you tell me that I cannot do it? How can someone tell me I can't do something? And that my inspiration actually came from that line. I applied for the SSB December, that November, December, I got my call letter for SSB Bangalore. And when I went there, I was so shocked. I went from a small village in Kollam, Kerala, and I had one Reader's Digest in my hand to read in the train. And when I went there, there were already girls who had come, were already prepared for SSB, who come from army backgrounds. And I was so naive, but I was we were only 5 who were selected from 240 people, because I knew from the first day, what it takes. When they asked, do you have it in you? In my mind, I said aloud, I have it. So this is what inspired. I never gave up. I never let anyone tell me that, you cannot do it. I was like, okay, let me give it a try. Let me see what it takes. And that's what inspired me. And till then to now, I've never let anyone tell me that, you cannot do it. I would say, yes, I'll give it a try.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes.
Now, what do you love about your career?
What do you love about my career? Whatever today, who asked this? May I know who asked this?
Ma'am, Ananya.
Ananya, I would say the best part of my life that has happened was me joining the army. Okay, the best part, and I owe everything today. Today I am a teacher, today I am a co-founder. Whatever I am today is because of the armed forces. It's because of what army taught me, what army gave me. No matter that I had to leave my uniform, because at every stage of my life, I give priority to what is required there. At 22, I decided I'll give myself all my mind, body and energies to the army. I did that for 5 years. After I got married, I wanted to give priority to home, because you get married to set up a home. And home is a very fundamental unit of society. If your home is not okay, society cannot be okay. So I dedicated my then 5 years to my son. And then again, I stepped into social service. All this attitude, all this courage, all this ability to think clear, all these things I dedicate to the army. So I feel this career that has spanned in different directions, even home, I feel, is a step towards career. The social service that I do now, this talking to children that I do now, everything I owe to the army. And the compassion, the word that I highlight to everyone, the compassionate being that I'm trying to be every day, that I'm trying to tell everyone. Army, no matter how robust, how raw it looked, it taught me compassion. Wherein in the army, we are trained to live, die, and kill for others. Yeah, that's what the army trains you to be. You're not living for yourself. You're not dying for yourself. Whom are the soldiers dying for every day? They're dying for others every day. So compassion is the most important thing I learned, I cherish throughout my career since the army. Yeah, Ananya, thank you for that question.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes.
My name is Maya.
Yes.
Are there any limitations for a person who wears glasses?
Yeah, I think I have a slide on that. Eyesight. Can you see that slide, Maya?
Ma'am, I
On the
can
screen.
see the SSCW JAG slide.
No, can you see the slide now?
No.
Alistair, what slide what are we seeing on the screen now?
SSCW, ma'am. The JAG screen.
Okay, wait. So, okay, I'll do a new share. Yeah. So
Yes,
just read
ma'am.
through this.
Yes.
I know you have glasses, but I know a lot of course-mates of mine who have glasses. So I think this is it. 6x6 is like standard. What condition do you have with your glasses?
Ma'am, I have astigmatism.
And what is your numeric? What is the number?
-3 and -2.
ठीक है. It should not be more than 3.5.
Okay. Thank you.
But please do some eye exercises. There are a lot of things that every day morning, Maya, remove your glasses and very patiently and mindfully, sit in a quiet place and take your eyeballs to the left, to the right, to the up and the center. You will get that exercise online. Do that every day. It's very good for you.
Ma'am.
Yes, Isha Tanwar.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, how
Yes,
can we register for SSB?
You cannot register for SSB. You have to apply for the CDS, the Combined Defense Service Exam. It is an exam that has English and general knowledge and logical reasoning. If you clear that exam and come in the merit list, they will send you the SSB call letter. That's how it happens.
Ma'am.
So you guys have to prepare for the CDS exam also. It's a very basic exam. There's no math, but there
Ma'am,
is
what exam did you mention?
the CDS, the Combined Defense Service Exam. CDS.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, would it be possible in lockdown too?
Go online. It is very basic. It is English. It is general knowledge. It is logical reasoning and aptitude. Basic aptitude.
Ma'am.
It's very easy. You'll get a lot of material CDS online. Prepare. Everything is there online.
And Sushmita has a question. How many years can we serve in the Indian Army?
So because you guys enter as a short service commission, the first 10 years is a mandatory service wherein you sign a bond with the army. So you cannot come out of the army before 10 years. Like I told you in the first slide, permanent commission has been granted to the women officers. So you can serve more than 20 years as long as you wish, but minimum 10 years bond. You can serve as long as you wish. After 10 years, they will ask you a choice. Do you want to continue your service? Do you want your permanent commission or do you want to quit the army? There you take a informed decision as per your experience.
Ma'am, what is the eligibility for CDS test?
Graduation, basic, any graduation or any engineering.
Okay.
50%.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yeah.
If we want to pursue our higher education after we join army, can we do that?
Yes. So army is very kind enough to give you I think 2-year study leave throughout your career. It gives you 2 years of study leaves wherein you can pursue education. And in any case, there is no one stopping you to do a correspondence course or a distance education to get to continue education. There is no stoppage to that. And there are a lot of courses in Indian Army institutions where you can go and pursue language courses, computer courses. Like I did a satellite imagery advanced courses. There are a lot of courses that Army gives you, facilitates you to pursue. There's amazing opportunities in the Army to learn further. Yes.
Okay, ma'am. Another question: Do we need to have prior experience to join the army, like in JAG
Prior experience
category?
of shooting?
No, in JAG, JAG.
No. You don't. So they're asking
Okay,
they're asking for minimum graduation, right? So it is taken that they're looking for freshers or freshers can join. You don't need any. You learn everything on the job.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Ananya asks, ma'am, what is your biggest fear?
My biggest fear. My biggest fear is losing people who are really close to me. Yeah, that's my biggest fear. And I know that is something that is not in my control. Definitely, it's not my circle of control. But the people whom you really care for, who are a big part of your everyday existence, losing them is my biggest fear.
Thank you, ma'am.
I think that's about it. Yeah, ma'am, can we take one group photo, ma'am?
Pakka.
Yeah.
Share it with me also.
Yeah, you can just stop the screen share, ma'am, so then we can
Now I'm
take a group photo.
Stop share. Yes.
Awesome. So can we switch on our cameras? Those who are comfortable, we can switch on our cameras and we can take a group photo.
Let me see all of you, all you girls, future officers of the Indian Army, Navy, and the Air Force. Let me see all of you guys. Wonderful. This is happiness.
Ma'am, sir is showing that the horse has stopped the camera for me.
Sorry?
The horse has stopped the camera.
Okay.
Ananya, can we see you? Harini, can we see you? Monica, Priya, Varnika, Rajeshwari, Raju, can we see you guys?
Yeah.
Just for a few seconds. Yeah.
In 3, 2.
Yeah. Oh, come on, guys, smile, yeah. That wasn't a really boring session. Hey, hello.
All right, that was it. Yeah, it just clicked.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for such an inspiring session. We will be having another session with Captain Lakshmi, right? A mentorship class where she will be training in detail about the SSB. Ma'am, do you want to talk about that just generally about what the session is going to be?
So whatever we have said today, from the induction process from CDS, how to prepare for CDS, what is CDS, and what all you need to learn for CDS, to the SSB, every single day of SSB, every single test, the word assessment test, the picture perception test, the picture intriguing test, all these things I'll be telling you in much detail. I have just rushed through because it is not possible to cover everything in 1 hour. So all these aspects, and plus the personality development of how do you train yourself for positivity, for leadership, for compassion, for effective communication, for physically making yourself ready. All these things will go in detail if you guys come in for those sessions.
Okay.
So we will get that link through mail?
Yes.
Sir and ma'am will do that for you guys.
We'll send you the link.
Oh.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. All the best. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Unheard. Thank you, Deekshita. Thank you, Alistair. And thank you, all you wonderful girls there. And all the best. Good luck. I'll see all of you or most of you in uniform someday. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Have a great day.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Have a good day, ma'am.
Thank you, Akal. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.